In this video, Joe Rogan talks with Aza Raskin and Tristan Harris and discusses how we have moved from Google, which acts as a textbook, to ChatGPT, which acts as your personal interactive tutor and can walk you through step-by-step whatever you need, and how some bad actors could abuse this new amazing resource. If you like this bite-sized content, please drop me a like. This will help with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe for more daily content.
As we start talking about like what are the risks with AI, like what are the issues here, a lot of people will look at that and say, well, how is that any different than a Google search? Because if you Google like how do I make napalm or whatever, you can find certain pages that will tell you, that thing. What's different is that the AI is like an interactive tutor. Think about it as we're moving from the textbook era to the interactive, super smart tutor era. So you've probably seen the demo of when they launched GPT-4, the famous example was they took a photo of their refrigerator, of what's in their fridge, and they say, what are the recipes of food I can make with the stuff I have in the fridge? And GPT-4, because it's just this, it can take images and turn it into text, it realized what was in the refrigerator, and then it provided recipes for what you can make. But the same, which is a really impressive demo, and it's really cool. Like I would like to be able to do that and make, great food at home. The problem is I can go to my garage and I can say, hey, what kind of explosives can I make with this photo of all the stuff that's in my garage? And it's like, and it'll tell you. And then it's like, well, what if I don't have that ingredient? And it'll do an interactive tutor thing and tell you something else you can do with it. Because what AI does is it collapses the distance between any question you have, any problem you have, and then finding that answer as efficiently as possible. That's different than a Google search. Having an interactive tutor. Facebook is releasing their own set of AI models, right? But they're, the weights of them are open. So it's like sort of like releasing a Taylor Swift song on Napster. Once you put that AI model out there, it can never be brought back, right? Like imagine the music company saying like, I don't want that Taylor Swift song going out there. And I want to distinguish, first of all, this is not open source code. So this is not, the thing about these AI models that people need to get is it's like, you throw like $100 million to train GPT-4 and you end up with this like really, really big file. Like it's like a brain file. Think of it like a brain inside of an MP3 file. Like remember MP3 files back in the day? If you double clicked and opened an MP3 file in a text editor, what did you see? It's just like gibberish, gobbledygook, right? But that model file, if you load it up in an MP3, if you load the MP3 into an MP3 player, instead of gobbledygook, you get Taylor Swift's song, right? With AI, you train an AI model and you get this gobbledygook, but you open that into an AI player called Inference, which is basically how you get that blinking cursor on ChatGPT. And now you have a little brain you can talk to. So when you go to chat.openai.com, you're basically opening the AI player that loads, this is not exactly how it works, but it's a metaphor for getting the core mechanics so people understand. It loads that kind of AI model, and then you can type to it and say, what's the kid's, answer all these questions, everything that people do with ChatGPT today. But OpenAI doesn't say, here's the brain that anybody can go download, the brain behind ChatGPT. They spent $100 million on that, and it's locked up in a server. And we also don't want China to be able to get it, because if they got it, then they would accelerate their research. So all of the sort of race dynamics depend on the ability to secure that super powerful digital brain sitting on a server inside of OpenAI. And Anthropic has another digital brain called Cloud 2, and Google now has the Gemini digital brain called Gemini. But they're just these files that are encoding the weights from having read the entire internet, read every image, looked at every video, thought about every topic. So after that $100 million is spent, you end up with that file. So that hopefully covers setting some table stakes there. When Meta releases their model, I hate the names for all these things. I'm sorry for confusing listeners. It's just like the random names. But they released a model called Llama 2, and they released their file. So instead of OpenAI, which like locked up their file, Llama 2 is released to the open internet. And it's not that I can see the code where I can like the benefits of open source. We were both open source hackers. We loved open source. Yeah. Like it teaches you how to program. You can go to any website. You can look at the code behind the website. You can, learn to program as a 14-year-old, as I did. You download the code for something. You can learn, yourself. That's not what this is. When Meta releases their model, they're releasing a digital brain that has a bunch of capabilities. And if that set of capabilities, now just to say, they will train it to say, if you get asked a question about how to make anthrax, it'll say, I can't answer that question for you, because they put some safety guardrails on it. But what they won't tell you is that you can do something called fine tuning, and with $150, someone on our team ripped off the safety controls of that model. And there's no way that Meta can prevent someone from doing that. So there's this thing that's going on in the industry now that I want people to get, which is open weight models for AI are not just insecure, they're insecurable.